There are a lot of important elements when it comes to storytelling. Structure, surprise, visual moments, details. It's overwhelming. But there's this one element that is the most important out of all of them, and that is stakes. Stakes refers to what a character can gain or lose in a specific situation. Stakes is what makes your listeners glued to every word you say. But hold on a second. How can you actually add stakes to your story? Well, it's not that difficult. In this video, I'm going to show you my 5 favorite ways on how to raise the stakes in your story. Let's go. First technique, share the character's goals. In that first step, you want to let us know what does the character want in that situation. What are their goals? By telling the goals, your audience will start caring. They'll be cheering on the side like, this is gonna happen. But before you share any goals, don't just share any shallow goal. Share an emotional goal. Let me show you the difference, okay? Example, if I wanted to tell a story about me running a marathon, a shallow goal would be, well, I want to finish the marathon. An emotional goal would be, I want to finish the marathon to be a role model for my children, to show them that really anything is possible if you put in the hard work. But this technique is even more powerful if you combine it with the next technique. Second technique, foreshadow the result. Tell your listeners what the character can gain or lose in a specific situation. Tell us what is going on in their mind. What are they thinking? Let's look at that marathon example. In that example, I could share some of my hopes, some of my fears. For example, the moment I run across the finish line, my dad will be there waiting for me, giving me this big hug, telling me how much he loves me. Man, it will feel so freaking good. Or, if I don't cross that finish line, my dad will be so disappointed. He won't say much, but I know that I've let him down another time. Third technique, make them the underdog. Take any adventure movie in this world and think about the main character. Take Frodo from Lord of the Rings, Luke from Star Wars, or Jake from Avatar. At the beginning of their journeys, they're weak, they're clumsy, they're clueless, they don't know anything. But in comparison to their enemies, right, who are just powerful, who are almost impossible to beat. Now that's what you want to have in your story. So think, how can you make your character the underdog? By that way, you increase the stakes even more. Let's go back to the marathon example. In that example, I could increase the stakes by showing how little prepared I was. I could say something like, oh man, I was in such poor shape that I think I may have trained 2 times before that. And even just walking up the stairs in my apartment already gave me a major heart attack. Making your main character the underdog works extremely well, but you can increase the stakes even further if you include that next technique. Fourth technique, add external stakes. So far, the stakes were mostly internal. These were some emotions, some internal struggles, some thoughts of that character. But the best stories, they also include external stakes. So what are some unforeseen challenges that are being put into the path of that main character? Let's go to that marathon example. If I wanted to include some external stakes, what could they be? Well, that could be maybe an injury preventing me to run further. Maybe my running shoes arriving 2 weeks late, or a crazy storm on the day of the race that makes it just impossible to run. Do you see? What are the main stakes, the main external stakes in your story to spice it up? All right, onto the last technique that 99% of the great stories include. Technique 5, add a ticking clock. You can make any story immediately more interesting by introducing some sort of time constraint. Any time when you only have a few days, a few weeks, a few hours, a few minutes to achieve a certain goal, it becomes immediately more interesting. Let's look at the marathon example. If I just told you, well, I had a full year to prepare for that, you'd be like, oh, cool. I think there are another 100 million of people that do the exact same thing. You would be very unimpressed. But if I told you now, well, I had only 2 weeks to prepare for the event, you'd be like, whoa, 2 weeks? That's crazy. 2 weeks is nothing for a marathon when you're out of shape. How did you do that? You'd be much more interested, right? Alright, these are the 5 techniques to raise stakes in your story. But just in case this was a little bit overwhelming or you want some more guidance, I suggest you check out this next video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I'd learn storytelling if I could start all over. Enjoy!